Hey guys, it's Mark from MCRCWA again. Wasn't planning on doing a video tonight, but I was changing my brake pads out, so I thought, let's talk about brakes. So when I say I want to talk about brakes tonight, I really want to talk about the pads themselves more than anything else. It's a real crucial element of making your bike brake as well as possible. So what I've got here is an old pad and a new pad, which I'll be swapping into the bike, and a caliper to explain how that's all going to work. What I'm also holding in my hand is my vernier calipers, and that's how I'm going to measure the pads. Each pad brand, brake caliper type may have different thicknesses, so I'm just looking at specifically mine for tonight because it's just too hard to cover off all brake types, all pad thicknesses, compounds, etc. So the first thing I want to talk about before we look at thicknesses of pads is about the rating of them. Different brake pads have different friction ratings and temperature ratings and whatnot. So what mine are, and what most people use for racing, is what we call a HH compound. It means it takes more temperature to make the pad work well, but it also lasts longer and is essentially a harder wearing pad. It comes in different formats. So this is my old pad coming out. I'm pretty sure they're very similar. Yamaha pads, and then I've got a set of SBS HH pads, which are, as you can see, just a slightly different pattern, but will be a similar thickness. When scrutineering a bike, one of the key things we look at on the front of the bike is the pad thickness in there. The reason for that is the more worn the pads, the more heat they will create, and the less efficient they will become. So what you want to do is, when you're just checking over your bike, is to make sure you have necessary pad thickness in there. So what I'll do, here's a quick comparison. This is a brand new pad here. You can see it's quite thick. On the verniers, we're looking at, what's that, 9 mil on these ones, 10 mil, thereabouts, and that's the thickness of the overall, so the actual usable compound and the metal backing as well. So 10 to 11 mil, that looks to be the standard on a brand new pad for an R6. What we also have here is my used pads. As you can see, a lot thinner there. These ones, that's our original thickness there. We're down to 6 mil. That's a big difference in braking efficiency. They're okay, but they're time to come out. They're not going to last much longer, and I could feel them starting to go. That's why I knew that it was time. So when changing your pads out, you really want to have a good look at your caliper. First of all, just make sure there's no major obstructions and they're not too dirty on the inside. You will find that over time you get buildup of brake dust in here, and it stops the pistons from pushing the pads into place properly, and also returning, meaning you get brake binding. This is fairly clean. It's one I haven't used in a while as my demo. So what I've done here, I've just put two brand new pads into this caliper. What you can see is there's a pin in place that's holding the pads in and stopping them from moving out of the actual caliper itself, and it also has these two R clips in place. Those R clips are to stop the main element on this one from moving. Some, depending on your pads, may have screws that go through, but R6 and a lot of other models are R-clip or other style based. What you have to make sure is that both of those clips are in, because if the clips are missing or one clip wiggles its way loose and you're only running one, there's potential for it to rattle, and in doing so, that could come out and you could actually lose a pad. So another thing to make sure of when you're putting new pads in is that rod goes all the way through both pads. If it doesn't, and you've just pushed your pad in and it's binding against your disc, you may not realize it's not sitting in flush, which means what's going to happen is that's going to fall out at some point. It may not happen straight away because the disc may hold it in, but over time it will rattle, it will move, and it potentially fall out. So always make sure with anything brake related that everything is secure, it's locked in place, and has the correct mechanism. Another quick thing to note, always make a note for yourself. If you're changing brake pads late at night, you're going out for the next day, you may forget. So if you got a note for your first session, you got new pads in there, you won't forget to go to bed them in and make sure everything's working. Also, give your master cylinder a quick squeeze once the pads are in. You've pushed all the pistons out, and because you push the pistons out, the pressure may not be there, so just make sure that your pressure is up and operational. So thanks for watching tonight's video. It was nice and short and sweet. If you have any suggestions and other things you'd like us to feature in these, please do reach out and let us know. We've got a couple more videos coming up talking about catch cans, belly pans, and how much fluid they should hold, and a bunch of other things as well. So anything you'd like to see, talking about chains, chain tension, etc., let us know.